Well, Stubbsy, welcome to Outside the Box. You're our first ever guest.
Yeah.
You must like Ossie because he only told us 3-4 days ago that you were going to jump on.
Well, to be fair, I got a message on, was it Sunday?
Yeah, could have been, yeah.
Yeah.
What day?
Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah.
He chose to message him on the Sunday as well.
So, to be fair, I did contemplate saying no, just to wind them up. But it was a privilege to be asked, to be fair.
I'm very last minute, aren't I?
I'm obviously getting the numbers up, aren't I? That's why you want me in.
Yeah, that's what we wanted.
You know,
Plus,
there you go,
the big hitters.
Yeah, and we needed the bigger guys on that side of the table, the little guys on this side of the table.
It is a bit strange. I like the bigger ones, and so we've got the little legs over there, and then we've got the long legs over there.
It's to do with the focus on the cameras.
Yeah.
Alan, I'm hoping you can settle something for us.
Yeah.
Ossie likes to tell us how good he is at golf every time on the podcast. Is that true?
He's a decent player. He's I think if he played a bit more, he would be less than what he is.
Stubbsy's tell the fucking truth.
He's
not a patch on Stubbsy. He's not Stubbsy's the gaffer on the golf.
Yeah, Ossie's hovered around 10ish, but I've always thought he was better than that. So I think he's just happy. You know, the way sometimes you can manage your handicap. I think Ossie manages his handicap very well.
No, it's not like that. I just, I'm not necessarily good with a card in my hand. That's all. I like to play social. I'm very good socially. Play it off me 10.7 I am at the minute.
It's been like that for the last 7 years. I don't know how, but it has been like that for a long time.
Because when we go away playing golf, I need the extra couple of shots because I'm usually tipsy by the time we play golf.
Do you not hit the course regularly together still, or?
We have done. We probably haven't recently.
We need to more, don't we?
We played your place about.
Yeah, I mean, but before that, we were playing a little bit more. But recently, we had a catch up at Formby. Normally we played.
We're bouncing between each other's
S&A, Formby, Ormskirk. So we'll bounce around.
We actually had a little
do that.
WhatsApp group at one point, the Toffee Thursday Club, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
We have changed the number just to introduce me back into it.
All right, okay. No, we're all right.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah. So outside of the golf, what are you up to, Alan?
So I'm doing a bit of coaching. So I do. I'm the director of football at Skatesburg Hall School.
Oh, nice.
So I do that there. So I look after. We've got a couple of coaches who are there, and we'll do one-to-ones. So some of the pupils will come out to lessons and do a 30-minute one-to-one with the coaches. So there's myself and them two, and then they will do after-school clubs as well. So yeah, that's what's keeping me busy. I do a little bit of media. I do some bits for Everton TV, and also I do match commentary for BBC Merseyside as well.
Have you still got that love for coaching? Obviously, you had a little stint in management.
Probably my love for coaching is probably more with the younger ones. I feel as if now I get more enjoyment in terms of seeing the younger players, coming or improving, not coming through, but improving. There's nothing better than seeing a young player come through, because I think we've all been in that environment where to see someone have that opportunity and basically following similar footsteps to what you've wanted to do helps.
So what ages are you working with now? Because you had the 21s at Everton going back years, which is obviously still development and bringing players through. Which gives you more joy, I suppose? Which kind of age development suits you better?
Well, I think very young, it's hard in terms of, because you're doing the very basics with, because you look, it seems to be getting younger and younger every year. If you look at, say, for instance, Everton's Academy, you're looking at 6 years old. Yeah. So they're getting them in earlier and earlier. I think I think younger players now are far more advanced than when I was that age. I think because of what they're seeing on TV, I think all the skills that they're trying to do, I sometimes feel as if skills are more important than the basics right now. I think sometimes we've moved away from even social media when you see ballers and all these people. I think you can never get away from control and passing.
You're saying people act as if the skills are more important than the basics, and no one's actually teaching the basics anymore.
Yeah,
it's frightening.
I think
understandable though now when you explain it like that in terms of the social media impact.
I think young children, because of social media and Premier League and everything else, they think it's more sexy, interesting to do a skill than what it is to have a better first touch.
Yeah.
Or to be able to pass the ball. Because ultimately, the biggest thing that any footballer can have is to be able to control the ball and be able to pass it. You know, you look at probably one of the best ones over recent years, and it's David Beckham. Wasn't the most skillful player, but he had a touch as good as anybody, and he could put a ball in the sixpence.
Yeah.
You know, whereas,
he was a master at the fundamentals, wasn't he?
I remember playing. Well, you would have been playing us. We played United, and it was the game where, remember when Beckham put it reversed into the top corner
that free kick
against Tim.
I wasn't playing. We lost that game, so I wasn't.
I know. I was. And I remember Beckham's play. Van Nistelrooy's gone to take me long, and as I've gone to go with him, he's already coming back, and the ball was already on its way from Beckham into his feet, and I was like, wow, this is a different level. You know, in terms of their understanding of each other's games.
Yeah.
And that's you know what you have to deal with. But you know, so I just think with everything in football, everything goes full circle. You know, I think at this moment in time, certainly for younger players, it's all about skills and how many step overs and flicks and tricks can you do. Whereas it won't be long before it comes back again.
I hear an awful lot of them saying now of they're being not overcoached. The game and the skill is being coached out of them.
Yeah.
And I hear that an awful lot. What do they mean when they say that?
Well, I mean, the game's being coached out of them. I think what they mean is that sometimes I think they're getting that much coaching, the individualism gets pushed aside.
Your own
They can't be
decision-making
themselves.
skills. Your own decision-making skills. You basically, what used to happen, go back years, one of the reasons football was so enjoyable, especially for me as an attacking player, the ball had come to you. That gets told roughly where I needed to be at the right moment in the attacking end. And I also used to get told, do all your skills on the edge of the penalty area. Don't be doing them in the halfway line. Basic information. Yeah. But then when the ball came to me, I could decide what I wanted to do depending on what I saw. Okay. Whereas now, patterns of play are so distinctive and so defined that if you get the ball in this position you've been told to be, they've give you two options. You either pass it there or you pass it there. There's no room for anything else. There's no room for your individual mind to go, well, I see a gap there and I'm going to run through it, because if you lose it, you're now in trouble. You've let the team down. You've let the squad down. You've let this system down that we've been working so hard to do. So I think that's what it means anyway. Those define a moment of making your own decisions.
By saying that, though, does that mean now we're coaching the Mavericks out of the game? Because I haven't seen... I see it up to the age of 14s. And then after 14s, I don't see them signing.
Well, I think, we're all Blues. We've got one at Everton. It's Jack Grealish.
And
you know, and then you look at Jack Grealish when he went to Man City, and not for 1 minute would I ever criticise, obviously, Pep Guardiola, because he's the best coach I think we've seen over here in terms of making a change, along with Arsene Wenger, in terms of how he changed the culture and everything. But Jack Grealish went to City and he had to do
what he was told.
Certain job. So Jack Grealish, you know, and he's come to Everton and he's been given a bit of a free spirit again.
A new lease of life.
Being put an arm around his shoulder. You know, he's been given a bit of love. You know, and where would you say Jack Grealish has been the best? And you'd have to say Aston Villa, because he was allowed to go anywhere he wanted.
I actually think that Jack Grealish we got, although he got a couple of early assists, I think the Jack Grealish we got in the first couple of weeks of the season was a different Jack Grealish that we was playing for us round about Christmas time, or just before he got injured, because I did think week by week I felt he was getting rid of the control or getting rid of this idea that he has to do this. And I felt he was getting more and more back.
I
think David Moyes and this Everton squad, this Everton team was saying to him that you can be a bit more yourself. You don't have to just lay it off. You can go do this. And I think it took him a few sort of months to really buy into that. And that's one of the reasons why he seems to love the club so much.
I think we've got that in Ilman and Jai, though. I think the only difference with Ilman and Jai is probably one of the only players I see in the league who wants to work as hard going backwards as he does going forwards. I haven't seen a player like that for a long, long time. Not since Pienaar and Baz and stuff like, you know, when they were working for each other and fighting for each other. I haven't seen that in a player who's races back, and he looks like he's giving it at 110% just to get that ball back. It's very rare you see it. That's like when you see Doku. There's no way Doku's chasing back as fast as he's going forward. And same on the other side. Semenyo maybe does a little bit more, but I don't see any of them with the intensity that Ilman and Dye does.
Well, going back to your point where you said about the Mavericks, he didn't really come up through the ranks in a normal way, so maybe that's why.
Street footballer. And do you think that the last...
Eze, street footballer.
Possibly, but then is he gonna... You'll see. I think he's the last ever one of them. But will Eze... He's a perfect example. Will you see that taken from Eze? Will you be allowed? Will Mikel allow Eze to still be? Because I don't think Eze looks the same player that he was.
I think
at Arsenal.
I know where you're getting, and I do think he will change his game slightly.
Is that a good thing?
But Mikel will be best served to do. Well, look, you're bringing in a player, and you want him to make sure he understands the environment and buys into what you're doing. But at the same time, you can't take away from him what's made him.
Why'd you buy him?
Want to sign him in the first place. Yeah. So it's a fine line about how they keep trying to encourage him to go and try and do his. But looking at in the game against Arsenal, he hit the post, whereas he probably had better options to hit the ball. But you never stop Eze making a decision on the edge of the penalty area to try and win you the game, go and do a bit of magic. Didn't work out.
I think you see that's the difference between them two players, Semenyo. And Semenyo is working and flying to get back, and I don't think that's Eze's strength, whereas it is Semenyo's. And I think that's possibly why Pep went all out for Semenyo and probably didn't go for Eze.
I think the fact that when you look at Semenyo and all of that, I think Pep obviously realised the type of player that he was getting, and he was going to be a straight fit into the team, because you look at quite a few players that go to City, they don't necessarily go straight into the team.
Hit the ground running.
You know,
take time.
They take time to get used to the demands of what Pep wants from you as in that role.
He just said that about Kushnov.
Yeah,
took time.
Yeah,
Kushnov took time.
He looks a completely different player now.
He looks a top centre half.
I said his debut, and I think he got dragged off, didn't he, in his debut?
I said to us, I think he's got to be in team of the season this season, but I said he hasn't seen a turnaround in a player like that before.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
But I think Pep got to, just touching on both of what you just said there, Pep got to about, 2 January when the window opens, and thought, this transition season is actually going way ahead of schedule. If I get a couple of players to complement what I've got, we might win the league. And he bought in Gay. Stole him. What a price. What a great signing.
Brilliant.
To fill in. But also Semenyo. And the reason why Semenyo is working, I don't think, if you look at Semenyo, he's technically at the same level as as a couple of those City players, but he balances them off because of what he can give you. He's basically the anti-Bernardo Silva in terms of, he can run. There'll be no match between running and physicality, but Semenyo will never match Bernardo Silva at tight control and being good in them moments. And I'm just making that one match because of the difference. But he noticed what the squad needed. He noticed that football's changing, and this when you're talking about being the best and noticing that football's changing, that penning teams back in at the moment, like City had done, and having a million passes and finding the right pass is now being more difficult. Teams are able to stop you, but what they're not able to stop is this powerful running, and the physicality's coming back, and everyone comes full circle, and physicality's
that's
back.
Right, isn't it?
I think as well as that, when you look at them as all, I think he's evolved again. Yeah, he brings Pep Linders in.
Yeah,
different style of football, and also you wonder whether it's Pep or whether it's Pep Linders, but they've got wingers now who are scoring goals as well. Whereas more often than not, they were assists. Yeah. They were wingers who made assists.
The last winger they had scoring goals properly was Mahrez.
Yeah.
Since then, they've had Savinho's not really scored goals. Jack was never really a big goal scorer when he was at City.
Yeah.
So they've got wingers who go for the throat. Yeah. They're not just about putting balls.
Not a big.
They're not just about putting balls. They do put balls into Holland, but they're not just about putting balls into Holland. I think the other wingers in the past, it's just been get it to Haaland, get it to Haaland, get it to Haaland.
Do you ever, or have you ever watched, when you obviously finished playing and stepping into coaching, watched other coaches like Pep? You mentioned Arsene Wenger before, or anybody else around the leagues that influence you on being a coach?
Yeah, I think when you're a player, it's you can only respect in terms of the coaches that you've had, and you always pick up on certain things where they make you into what you are. You know, so if you look at through my managers, I had Bruce Rioch at Bolton. Then I had Colin Todd. Then I went to Celtic, and I had a few. To be fair, I had Tommy Burns, who signed me, who was all about building a team around players and letting them be the individuals and take responsibility. And then I had a couple of real left field ones. I had a guy called Dr. Joseph Venglos, who was...
I remember him.
He was at Aston Villa for a little bit. And then he had us running around the training pitch holding our breath. He wasn't a very good one.
Running on the pitch holding your breath.
He was like this new sports science type, and he was like saying about this in terms of cardiovascular, it helps and all this. We weren't really probably up to date with that. We didn't really know what sports science was really, how the impact it was going to have then.
I'd love to have seen that though. You full of Celtic players running around the pitch on all your breath.
The thing is, is that we were running around the pitch holding our breath, pissed, because we were out the night before, and it was messy.
Oh, I'd have loved that.
It literally was messy, and in the end.
Well, you played like Messi.
No, certainly not. In the end, he's looked at it, and the lads were like falling over, laughing and thinking. And in the end, he's realised that all the players were...
I've lost these.
Yeah. And he's gone, stop. You must go home and sleep. And he sent us all home.
Did he?
Sent us all home to sleep. I said, I'll see you Thursday.
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah. So it was...
a bit of respect.
That one never worked. and funny enough, we didn't see that again.
And you never used that one yourself since?
No, never.
How long
did
he last in the job?
He was about... I can't remember exactly, but I would have said it was about 8 months or so.
I was going to say, did he get a year in? No.
Then we had a guy called Wim Jansen, who was World Cup winner for Holland. And when he first came, everybody it was Wim who. No one knew about him, and he was my first insight into real European coaching. Very calm, dead quiet, very softly spoken, and it was all about trying to change mindsets. And if we were didn't play well the first half, or if we were losing, he'd come in and he's the calmest guy in there, and he'd turn around and go, "We must relax. We must change our way of thinking." And he'd just give us a few points in terms of what we did, and the players just responded. They loved him. They loved him because I'd been used to
screaming and shouting,
banging players up against the wall, cups getting thrown at times, the ranting and raving. That was the British culture, English culture. And then suddenly you get that, and the players just absolutely loved him. We stopped 10 in a row that year, and he left after 1 year because he had a fallout with the hierarchy at the club, and we were all devastated. Wow. And then we had Kenny Dalglish, who was coming as director of football. He appointed John Barnes, and it was a disaster. Disaster. And then Kenny took over, and then we had Martin O'Neill then. So Martin was brilliant.
Him, isn't he?
Brilliant.
I haven't heard this player say a bad word about that man.
The weird guy.
Yeah.
So clever, so real thinker, intellectual, but would literally come in the morning time and he would walk past you in the corridor and not say a word to you and blank you. And you're thinking, shit. What have I done here?
I'm not playing at the weekend.
Yeah, and exactly. And 10 minutes later, he'd walk past you and go, "Morning, Stubbsy, how are you?" And I'm thinking, what the fuck's going on here? What? And then one of the times, I was up for a new contract, and I hadn't heard anything about it. And Martin walked past me one day, and he's gone, "Stubbsy, I've been meaning to tell you." He said, "Your contract offer's on the table." He said, "I'm sure it'll be all right." He said, "If not," he said, "no problem, we'll sit down and speak about it." He said, "But," he said, "it's been sitting there for 3 months." He said, "and I've just completely forgot about it."
Nice one, Martin.
And that was what he was like.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, but the players just really respond to him. In terms of a team talk, the best team talk I've ever seen someone deliver.
Oh, really?
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
In what way?
A motivator?
Yeah, unbelievable. Wow. So we'd come in, and he before the game, he was very personal, sit next to you and go, how's things, how's the family, how are you, you know, everything okay, do you know what you're doing and stuff like that. And then he'd go around everybody and then come in and we'd all be getting our last little bits ready as you do. And same at Celtic Park, it was like treatment table in the middle of the floor and he'd just stroll or strut around the table, just thinking of what to say, what he was going to deliver. And then literally we were all ready and then next minute he'd just go bang out.
Would he, yeah?
Say, get you really going, talking about divided battles and all this. And by the time he's finished, you were fucking ready to go to war. Ready to go to war, like your chest pumped out, ready to go bang. And it was the most weirdest mix of Martin, Steve Walford, and John Robertson, who unfortunately recently passed away. And it was just the oddest mix of three individuals who couldn't be any further from each other, but it worked.
How did a team talk like that sort of resonate through the squad? Were all the players who responded to, we need to all go out fired up, or was there not a couple that actually needed to go out a bit calmer?
I think it just the way he spoke, he would make eye contact with the ones that he really knew could take it on board. And like we obviously had Henrik, who was our game changer when we were there.
Henrik Larsson.
Henrik was a quietish guy, but spoke on the pitch. You know, his performances spoke on the pitch. He was just well, you don't get called the King of Kings at Celtic Park unless you're something special.
Stubbsy?
Yeah, he was
training every day, just at it.
In terms of the best players I've played with, Wayne's obviously number one. And I would say Henrik was number two.
Di Canio? Did you play with him?
Di Canio, played with Di Canio.
Just a maverick.
Yeah, he was. He was a nutcase, passionate, wore his heart on his sleeve, temperamental, would storm off training because he never got a decision against him that he started, and he'd go, fuck off.
And just
Fangulo and all
not
that, and just walk off.
What does a manager do with that?
But Tommy Burns was adamant, and Tommy was really good with that.
Okay.
You know, in terms of a man manager, and he'd be like, "Paolo, come on, nah. We must train 100%, and all this. He's not doing it. He's not, you know, and he wouldn't accept it in terms of standards. If someone wasn't doing it, he'd be like, nah, fuck, you know, he'd be like that, fucking yeah. And he was like probably the best foreign trainer I've ever trained with. Yeah, brilliant attitude.
Shocks you that,
and he was immaculate.
Yeah,
looked after himself in the gym. You know, like he loved himself as well, and he'd tell you that.
I was going to say, it was a men's show. Yeah.
Remember he took his top off one of the games once he scored a goal, and I just thought, yeah, you're proper, you.
And he loved it.
That's what you thought.
Yeah. I just thought, yeah, you're proper.
And he was.
You know, you're not like take it off and it's guys or someone. You know what I mean? You're like, he's a unit.
Yeah, he was. He was ripped. He was ripped, and he the type of person like that. When we were at Celtic, one of the first things he wanted was when we were in the changing rooms. He wanted the bathrobe. He wanted the robe.
Like Hefner.
He wanted the white robe to be able to walk into
all the people I was with a bathrobe. You had to say Hefner, didn't you? What's up with you? Like, always go through your mind. Playboy.
I don't
just
even know who
Hefner.
he is. I don't even know who he is.
You don't.
I've just heard that's what the name is.
She's going to knock the fuck out of you. You absolutely had it, mate.
Got my own hef robe at home.
So he was a little one.
Yeah,
it's a
tiny one.
Little hef robe.
Yeah, it's knee height on you. It goes down to the floor for me.
I'll give it to our baby. He's only 6. Fits him perfect. So he was. Yeah, it does shock me that I didn't, because I've never put that when you talk about foreign players, like they come in, train really hard and push themselves to the limit.
I would say that, I don't know where Alan sits on this, but when the foreign players first started coming over that I started playing with, they improved training and training methods and training ideas no end. So it doesn't surprise me on the whole, but I was thinking Paolo Di Canio was one of these ones that doesn't want to work that hard, doesn't do too much, but goes out and performs on the pitch. But if he's bought into all of it, and in terms of like Arteta, when he first came over, we'd go on nights out, and we'd be on pre-season, wouldn't we? And opportunity to go and have a drink, then we'd all be like, way, and then the next morning, people like Mikel would have stayed in and would completely outrun you and embarrass you, so to speak. And then you started thinking,
remember Felly?
Yeah. We were all in it together drinking, thinking, well, we'll all be rubbish the next day, it's fine. And you'd turn up the next day, and 2 or 3 of them would be blitzing the run, and we'd be thinking,
hate him. Hate him.
Someone go kick him with you.
I wonder if Cantona was like that, because he was loved, wasn't he? And everyone I've spoke to and the other things I've done, he was treated differently by Sir Alex. But it sounds like the Canio and Cantona are kind of similar.
I wouldn't know with Cantona.
Did you ever treat people different that you were managing in terms of when you're looking at these players and you say they might need something different? Did you treat your own players different?
I did. I had when I was at Hibs, we had a lad called Anthony Stokes who we had on loan from Celtic, and he was by far our most talented player, but we had issues off the pitch. He loved to drink, and it wasn't just the fact that he loved to drink. He loved to drink for a couple of days.
Night before the game and that?
No, just in terms of going...
Couldn't stop?
No, so like if you give them a Monday off, he wouldn't turn until the Wednesday. So if he was having a drink, it was a bender.
Right. He's your player.
Or he'd go back to Ireland and stuff like that. So...
And he's your player.
And he's like the main player. He was the game changer. And I had to manage it. And I brought a couple of the players in. And I just said to him, listen, this is where we are with this, and I want you to buy into it, because he's going to make the difference. Luckily enough for me is that they realised that he was the difference as well. So if you've got players that will accept it to a certain degree, you've got half a chance. Okay. But if players
resent it,
you've got no chance.
As long as he's delivering.
Yeah. And I had to have a conversation with him then.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, I'm happy to give you a little bit of leeway, but don't take the piss. Okay. Because you're taking the piss out of your fellow teammates. Not me. You're taking the piss out, and you can't do that.
You had some other good players in that squad.
We did. You know, obviously we had John McGinn. John was just a breath of fresh air, John. You know, you knew he was... I actually tried to get Everton to sign him. And it just didn't happen for whatever reason.
I remember you speaking to us back then, straight away, talking to us when you come down about maybe on a night out, golf, whatever, we'd met up about this player that was, and I didn't really see much of him back then, and I didn't see the potential. I'm not saying I didn't look and try and identify it, but a couple of years later, I was thinking, I'm sure that's the lad Stubbsy was talking about when he
knew
was
Stubbsy
really
like after how many games or that?
Well, we signed him from St Mirren for, I think it was 100 grand in the end.
How old was he then?
He would have been 21.
Just shows you done it. Yeah. They do. It doesn't have to be it can be spotted.
Yeah.
If you pay enough attention, you can find the right player.
I think they're out there. I think sometimes is that it seems to be getting harder.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it does seem to be getting harder. Certainly at the top end, because I don't think Premier League clubs can wait.
What was your criteria then when you signed them? Was used weighing so the algorithm and the stats and the numbers as running numbers, as tackling numbers, as passing numbers? Was you looking at that then, or was you just like, I'll look at him with my eye and go, he's for me?
Yeah, no, my head of recruitment, which was a lad called Graham Matthew, was very good at the time, and he said he'd come to me and said, we've got got a player that we've been looking at. I said, okay. I said, put me together a dossier of him, get me all the clips, I'll go and watch him, and then I'll look at the clips. And I'm not just saying it now, which, you know, make myself look something that I'm not. But as soon as you see him playing, he was doing things that I thought, okay,
you're above that
it
level.
Didn't exactly have 100% success in us all, but the fact that he's seen it is the most important thing for me.
Okay.
Because the fact that, you know, if you can't see it, you've got a problem. The fact that you can see it, you'll always get that pass correct at some point. And I knew he had potential. And we were still a championship team then.
Okay.
So I knew he could come in and make a big difference for us. And literally, as soon as you come in through the door, the levels just went up.
Did he hit the ground running straight away?
or even all the players just realised that we had a player in our hands.
Okay.
And it was just a matter of time. It's one of them. Sometimes when you know you've got someone good, enjoy them while you can, because it's going to go at some point. Probably Wayne is another example of that as well.
What was the highlight of your managerial career?
It was, well, it's hard not to say the Scottish Cup final. That was just like off the charts good. I think when you win something, and I think you see it with all the managers now when they've won something. I was lucky as a player because I was fortunate to win a few things. It was the look on my staff's and my players' faces once they'd achieved something, which gives you such an immense pride to think that you've give them probably something that they will cherish for the rest of their lives. Wasn't a medal, it wasn't the occasion, it was the fact that they were there on that day. You know, I was actually speaking about it yesterday or the day before. I remember one of my first press conferences I've gone in, and there was a bit of a smart arse reporter there, journalist, and it was the start of the Scottish Cup campaign. So we would obviously come in the first round, and he'd go, "Is this going to be the year out?" So obviously they hadn't won it for it was 113 years when he first sent. So I said, "Well, someone's going to do it." I said, "You know, I'd love it to be me, but if not, it'll be someone in at some time." Anyway, we got knocked out in, I think could have been the fourth round, fifth round. The second year I'm there, same reporter.
Said it again.
Said it again. "Oh, is this going to be the year?" And you know, like when you look at them, said, "Well," and said, "My answer's going to be the same." I said, "Someone's going to do it. I'm hoping it's me. I think we've got a stronger squad this year, so let's see where it takes us." Anyway, we obviously get to the final and we win it. Same reporters in the press conference after the game. And I just said, "I told you, no bad." Someone was going to do it.
Love that story.
So, and he took it in the right way. He took it, you know, and it was, it was obviously, it was a great feeling, you know, to win any game. But to win it 3-2.
The odds on you at the start of that cup campaign.
Oh, we would have been
underwhelmed in the FA Cup now.
That's what I'm saying. It's
But
massive odds.
But we were a championship team, but with a Premiership squad.
Okay.
Because we were a strong team in that division. We'd in the second year we were a much better. The problem we had was that we still had the Rangers in the league.
Rangers were in the league.
Because Rangers obviously were being demoted.
Yeah.
They were coming back up. And we had them, and we were on a significantly bigger budget than us. But there wasn't much between us. You know, if you look at our overall record that season, I think we might have played each other 5 times, or 6 times, and I think we'd won 3 and lost 3. So there was nothing between the two teams.
Another cup final you had was playing for Bolton.
It was, yeah, it was. Unfortunately, against that other team.
Yeah,
across
the dark side.
Yeah, it was the dark side. Yeah, so that was we lost 2-1 that game. I think McManaman. Yeah, 95? Yeah, McManaman scored. And the same, we had a good team. We had a very good team actually. You know, that would have been the likes of myself, Jason McAteer, Alan Thompson, John McGinley.
Thompson left foot.
Yeah. You know, so we had a decent team. On the day, we just weren't good enough. You know, we'd done great to get there, but Liverpool just had too much quality for us on the day.
But really. Bolton was where your career took off.
It was. Well, I was at Everton as a young kid, and unfortunately, I got released when I was I think 13, and then.
Did you think you should be staying? Was that like that's where you were at the time in your development, or was that a bad decision?
I probably didn't. I didn't think that way. No. I didn't think they've got it wrong. I just probably thought they just made a decision.
Did you leave that training out and think, "I'm going to prove you wrong"?
At the time, no, because I felt I was devastated.
Okay.
So I was on the way home with my dad, and we used to get the bus into West Derby. So it was more about him saying, "Listen, it's not the end of the world," type of thing. You'll do it somewhere else. But at the time, you're thinking, "But it's Everton."
Yeah.
you know,
and
you never want to leave. But it was probably the best thing that happened to me. Now looking back, because I go to Bolton, and I've got to be honest, I didn't know where Bolton was when I had a knock on the door from, actually, believe it or not, it was Neil Dewsnip's dad, who was a scout for Bolton.
Was it?
Yeah. And he knocked on the door, and said, "Alan, listen, I know you've been released from Everton. We'd love you to come to Bolton. We know all about you," type of thing. And I was like,
Mr. Dewsnip.
Yeah.
Dewsnips have been in the game
forever. Yeah. And I went, well, I said, my dad doesn't drive. I says, how are we going to get there? He said, no problem. He said, we've got we have a minibus going from Highton. We've got a few lads who live in Highton, and they travel. And there was a guy there called Ronnie, and he used to do the driving, and he was like a little bit of a local scout there. So anyway, got to Highton, got on a bus, and we used to go every Tuesday and Thursday. And then it all seemed to take off from there then. And then I was playing midfield for them. I'd literally, my path was under nines striker. And I was...
You just got further back.
Everyone thinks they're a striker, don't they? Tony thinks he's a striker.
Lead goal scorer.
Yeah.
Then left wing, believe it or not.
Left wing?
Nice. Yeah, left wing.
Back in the day when you used to get outside and cross it, or thinking you can cut in and whip it.
I was a bit of both. I was never dribbling past someone. Yeah. Then into midfield.
You actually set up a tackle, did
you? Yeah. Midfield. And then, by chance, a couple of injuries when I was at Bolton, and I think it was 16. And the manager at the time was Phil Neal. And we had a reserve team manager, Steve, and he'd come to me and said, "Alan, listen, the gaffer was asked if you'll play centre back. Got a few injuries, wouldn't mind seeing you there." And played there, done all right, and never looked back.
Did you love it straight away, or did you think
I enjoyed it?
Into midfield?
No, I enjoyed it because playing in them positions give me a real idea of everything in front of me, and I think probably one of my strengths was that I read the game, and I think playing in them positions just helped me understand of where to be and try and, put yourself in the right place at the right time. And I think with any footballer is that you have to understand what your strengths and weaknesses are. So I wasn't quick, but in terms of me, I then tried to read the game and be cleverer and try and put myself in positions where I wasn't putting it in a foot race. So I'd be thinking about, well, if this goes over my head, I need to be in the right position to try and give myself a head start. And I think that helped me massively.
That never changed for his whole career.
No, it didn't. And
you're not slow though.
No, I wasn't quick. No, I felt as if I was quick there, but not there.
We used to have a race.
Exactly what
we used to have a race, me and him, to see who was the slowest player ever, and it changed weekly.
We used to have long necks.
Yeah. Whoever dipped the most on a Friday afternoon, or
my nose won me a few.
Whoever dipped the most used to win. Big Dunk could beat us. Everyone could beat me and Al, except
really.
We were never at the front, were we?
No.
Or in the finals. No.
Who's the quickest you came up against?
Well, probably the most natural was probably Joseph, I think.
Oh, Joe Yobo.
Joe Yobo was rapid.
Yeah, but a completely opposite of you in terms of you would read the game, you would get in position early, you would defend it in the right way, and Joe would literally...
He just never had the clue what he was doing.
Joseph,
when he was quick.
Said, no, Joseph would stand on the spot with his eyes like mouth open, watching the game, and then go, "Oh, that's my job." But he was so quick. Yeah. He would get he caused Stubbsy more problems than he solved after time. Playing alongside you.
If it wasn't me, it would be Davey. Yeah. And more often when I play, my best partnership to play with was Peace.
Davey,
yeah, he was
so
together. Good in terms of understanding each other's games. But the amount of times where I'd run across, if I was playing on the left, I would be potentially then more often that was Stoney or Gaz Naismith or whoever there, and you'd go across to try and cover them. And if you turned over your right shoulder and expect Joe to be coming across, you got fucking no chance. Joe's standing in his spot going, Joe,
I'll do this spot.
Yeah.
I'll do this
I
spot.
am in my spot. But like, he was that quick. He would just get out of his own problems that he caused.
I honestly think it is how modern defenders defend. Not everyone, not all defenders, but they're so concerned with doing their job. They sometimes don't defend across as a unit, and there's such big gaps in the middle. You look at the way they defend now. They'll grab hold of a centre forward for crosses, or a ball comes in the box. They'll grab a centre forward, and if that centre forward doesn't score, they'll say job done. But if someone runs in by you and scores, you know, that was the area you should be defending. But they'll say, but it's not my fault. Someone lost their runner in midfield. And you're like, but just defend it.
Yeah.
Do you like man-to-man or zonal, Stubbsy?
I like the responsibility.
We were talking about this before.
So I would prefer it if I was a player or even a manager. I prefer.
He did play flair.
Yeah, I did play flair.
He did play flair. I loved it.
I would rather a manager said to me, right, you're marking Tony Bellew.
I'll tell you this right now, he won't get away from you.
You're going nowhere, mate. It's always like me, Stubbsy.
Therefore, I know my job.
Yeah.
You know, because I think what we did have, especially under David Moyes, he would have myself, we'd have Davy Weir, and we would pick up their bigger players. And then he would have, Ossie was probably sometimes, more often not being in the front post in that area because he was good in the air.
I thought you said because I was good at marking a post.
No, you were marking the post and the man and the area. But Ossie was good in the air, believe it or not, for his size. He had a real, and I think what thing about Ossie was that he had good timing. Same with probably the likes of a Tim Cahill.
Yeah,
you know, Tim wasn't the biggest, but he had good hang time, and then he'd have that prolonged. And Ossie's got that reach neck. That last little minute would reach out a little bit more and get the flick-ons. You know, so he was important in that in terms of that area. But then David would have some zonal, but he would give the responsibility more often not to 2 or 3 of us, or probably 4, to pick up what he would see as their danger. And if the ball is coming in the front area, we knew Ossie would be able to deal with that. Tim, more often than not, if he wasn't one of the pick-up, would probably be in the centre of the goal.
Because I was a fan. I was talking to them, and I've always just thought, why aren't players just going man for man? And one of the players told me and said to me, he said, Tone, they're just blockers. And he said, that's what happens. And that's when I changed my opinion a bit. Then I thought, oh, wow, well, that kind of makes sense. Because if you're marking me and then he blocks you, stopping me, I'm a free man. And there's just no getting around it.
Yeah, but you gotta old school defenders would work hard to make sure they didn't get blocked. And if you did, I'd find a way of stopping that. Or there might be a bit of communication between him and Big Davy to say, we've got these two. If they block us, you might have to go, and there might be a code word that says, go.
If you go Sunday, and the smart thing is their main threat, and every single set piece and corner, it's going towards Van Dijk's way. If you put two markers on Van Dijk, only one can be blocked. Well, essentially they'll say, well, no, we put 2 blockers on him. But if you just put 2 men on Van Dijk, I just don't see how it goes wrong. But then you know more than
I think if you refer to Sunday's game and that goal,
I'll just stop.
They will be disappointed that they never dealt with that.
Okay.
As defenders, you'll be disappointed that you never dealt with that because.
But does he blame one man? Does he blame 2 men? Does he? Who gets
No,
the blame?
I think it's easy to point the finger at who you think should have done better.
Okay.
But that, you know, I've got to be honest. I think now the balls are much lighter. They're coming in much faster as well. So to a fan, it looks like, well, he should have been picking up, or he's lost them, or he's in that. But literally, you know, as I'm looking at that clock there, and you've got that to make a decision. That's how quick it is. You've got that, and that's why you've got to trust that you're in the right area, because if you're not, you can't recover. And that's how quick it is. That's how quick you've got to make a second.
If you know he's the only.
It's like it's like you in terms of in the ring, you've got that to get out of the way of a punch.
100th of a second.
You know, and that's instinct then.
But I just think for football, you know he's the only threat. You know, they don't have another man who wants to win headers or challenge for the ball like him. But like I said, I don't know. I'm just thinking from a fan's perspective. From my point of view, I'm screaming, going, why aren't two of you just stand on his foot, do something? But I don't.
I think he's out muscled as well because he hasn't jumped.
And the ball was quality.
The ball was a great ball.
He didn't need to jump because the ball was so good. He just basically put his arms out, made his tiny little bit of space, and the ball was that good that he just needed.
Because the keeper's got no chance, and I just think but he's the only threat they've got, and I just think every team's always got that one fella, haven't they?
To be fair,
who attacks the ball.
They dealt with it well
all game
for the majority of the game.
He was,
yeah, and Jared. You think about it, two of your biggest players have gone off.
And they've both gone off.
And that isn't mitigating.
I think Keano's good in them areas. He throws himself about.
He is.
Taki throws himself about. But I just can't stand why. You know what? Listen, lads, we're in the last minute here. Just two of us stick on him. Because no one else is going to want to win it like he does. Because two of us just do him.
You look at, I think, early on in the game, Beto's cleared the first two corners out from the near post. You know, and then when you look at that goal again, and if I've looked at it once, I've looked at it 20.
I haven't seen it again.
The ball comes in, and I'm not blaming anybody, but the ball slightly goes over Barry's head.
Beats the first man.
Yeah, beats the first man. And then you've got, obviously, Tarkowski, who's slightly underneath it. But you're talking fractions.
Yeah.
You're talking fractions.
Yeah.
But if Barry stands in front of Van Dijk and Taki stands behind, you're not losing that, are you?
I think Barry's in the front post area-ish.
So that's it.
And to be fair, it is a good ball. It is a good ball. He's put good balls in all games.
He's horrible.
He's got great delivery.
Yeah, he's horrible. He's doing it all the time. He's what a player.
Yeah.
Horrible, but what a player.
You were in an Everton side that you captained that was very good defensively. What was good about that season?
I think we had our biggest thing was probably, I think, our team spirit. I think a lot of people had writ us off before. We were, in them early years under David Moyes, I think we were a little bit of a yo-yo. We'd have a good season, and then for no apparent reason, we'd have a bit of a dip, and we'd have a down season, and then it wasn't until I think 2004-05 where we started to get consistent, and we started to really be a 6th, 5th, 7th, 8th position team.
Was that your breakthrough season?
4-5, yeah. I played the
Mm.
last couple of games of the season before. We'd lost all three of them, lost to City. And all the talk was that David Moyes was going to get sacked, wasn't it, at the end of that season? Yeah. And in modern day football management, he probably would have, because a good season, as soon as you have a bad season, that's you done. But just sticking with you shows the opportunity for things to come back up. But we'd had a tough summer. We'd been absolutely shouted at in that dressing room at City. Yeah, like I've never seen him so angry. David Moyes went absolutely tore into us, and then go off, have your summer, this, and then we did. We came back for the pre-season, and he was a bit more relaxed. We had a good bit of work in Austria. We went to Houston, where we landed, and he gave us 2.5 days to basically just socialise and play golf and have nights out, drinking with each other, and I went ice skating at 2 o'clock. I went ice skating at midnight in Houston, and then Kev Kilban fell over, cut his elbow, everything. It was never had done it, but it was the camaraderie and the stories that we then took from that first 2.5 days into the rest of the trip, where I don't think I've ever worked as hard.
Do you know
moving it forward? We talked about it all season long, didn't we? Everything referred back to that pre-season trip.
You, he won't say it because obviously he was the captain, but you will, because you've had various captains and different. How important of a role does the captain play in that camaraderie? Is he the gel, or is he the main contributor? Is he the biggest factor?
He could say he's played in teams that's been influential as well. But within that team, we didn't need anybody reining us in. So I played in different teams where a captain wants to rein you in, but also a captain won't ever let you go too far, if you know what I mean. So it's finding that balance of I don't want to rein them in and stop them keeping this bubbly attitude and keeping the fire burning and keeping stuff going, but I also need to make sure that
one or two don't
they're
take
not
the
losing
piss.
the way, that one or two of them don't go too far. And we had credit to Alan, but we also had, as he's just mentioned, we had Alan, we had Davey, we had Big Dunk, we had Kev Campbell at Super Kev, God bless him.
We had a lot of captains.
Huge captains, all within the one team. We had a lot of captains.
I get that, but you wear the band. So does the book stop with you, or how does it work?
Well, I don't think the book stops with me, but I think
from
what happens if something goes wrong, you're the one that leads that conversation.
Okay.
You know, so
the manager comes and sees you.
Yeah. Or if the manager wants something to get to the players, he would have a conversation more often than not with me and maybe one or two other senior players to say, this is not acceptable, or listen, this is what I want going forward.
That's what I believe football misses now, senior leadership. All the figures around them, I just think it misses it so much. It's gone.
Look across Premier League clubs now.
Kids running kids.
There's a lot of teams that lack leadership. So maybe these teams don't think that the senior players are good enough, because look at Chelsea buying so many kids after kids after kids, because they could have the potential of selling on and improving. But if you've not got some leaders to actually direct them and
help them,
just help them along the journey. And there's a lot of teams that really struggle with that. I think there's some good teams out there as well. He's just talked about John McGinn at Aston Villa, who looks like he's a huge influence on the team. Villa look like they've got a couple within the squad, but
I think probably the one that sticks out to me right now is probably Xhaka at Sunderland.
Granit
Xhaka. I think he's had a
great
huge impact. I think he's a very humble person. I seen an interview that he did not so long ago, maybe in the last month, and it was a brilliant interview. They actually, I don't know who it was that was on, or whether it was Sky or whether it was BBC, but they absolutely nailed it. And he got emotional in it, talking about his upbringing, saying about how difficult his upbringing was, his parents going out and having 2 and 3 jobs and trying to do everything they could, and they weren't they were quite poor, and to where he is now, and I think that type of thing builds a leader. I think sometimes now, unfortunately, I think when you're young, the leaders are the parents. I think parents are playing a more pivotal role now in children coming through than what we've ever seen before. And I think so.
I thought you were going to say Granit Xhaka was crying because they made him play for Sunderland. I thought that's where you were going with that. I thought I was going to say that's harsh, man, because Sunderland are a great club.
Someone who know me,
we love
he won't be happy with you.
And to all Sunderland fans, it was just a joke.
Were you upset when you had to go to Sunderland?
Listen, it shouldn't have happened. The club itself is...
When you left us for a few months.
Yeah, when I left for a few months,
I remember that one,
That was... it was just one of them situations where we just qualified for the Champions League. I wanted a 2-year contract. It wasn't about money. The finances of it was what it was. And I just wanted a 2-year deal. And David, I think Ossie has had this before as well, is that I think David leaned on the fact that I was an Everton fan and I was a local lad, and thought, he'll sign. And I stood my ground. And I remember getting a phone call in, actually, believe it or not far away from here, The View in Southport. And I was literally, the film was about to start, and got a phone call. Mandy went, go and take it. And he's like, and the gaffer went, right, Stubbsy, come on, are we signing it then? Come on. And I went, no. I said, unless you tell me it's 2 years, I'm not signing. He went, we can't this. I said, okay, no problem. I said, thanks for everything. I says, but I can't. I said, I feel as if I've warranted. I've been a really important part of what we've achieved this season.
Captain the side as well.
Yeah.
I hate that.
And he didn't budge. And I didn't budge. So there was no winner in the end. And I think when we look back, do I regret it? 100% I regret it, because I didn't want to leave in the first place. But sometimes, whether it's stubbornness or whether it's morals or whatever, you stick to your guns. And unfortunately, the club weren't budging.
Did you feel like you had something to prove when you went back?
No, I didn't actually know. I to be honest, I was just relieved that I was back. Because and that's not a slant on Sunderland fans, because they weren't great when I went there. They had a team that was struggling. I was up there by myself. It wasn't great. When being there without the family. And then when I got a phone call from Jimmy Lumsden in the November time, and I'd already had a conversation with Mick McCarthy, and he said, "Listen, Alan, we need you off the wages. Really, we realistically
we're going
down." So that was
straight after the Champions League. We'd qualified for the Champions League. Wow.
Yeah. And then Jimmy rang me and said, "Right, come on, let's have a conversation. The gaffer wants to speak to you." And I was thinking to myself, do I play hard to get here, or do I like say? And I was like, okay, yeah, where do you want to meet? and I met him at Tickle Trout in the hotel there, and we just had a conversation, and we said, right, listen, let's forget what's going on, clean slate. We need you back.
We definitely needed him back because we really struggled at that time of the year. You said you were relieved to be back. I think I was the most relieved because I'd been losing races on the train. You were just laughing for months, and I needed my partner back.
So was I.
I needed my partner back to have a real race with. It was getting tough out there.
I think the first game back was Arsenal, and I think Davey came off injured after about 20 minutes, and I came on.
We won 1-0 at our place. Yeah,
I think that was that the Wayne goal.
No, that was
before that.
I think me and James Beattie played up front that day. I think. Or I remember.
Who scored?
Was it Beats? I think it was round about.
Possibly,
I think it was round about that time.
I think it was.
We won 1-0, because I spent I had some sort of belly issue that day, and I was.
Did you eat too much?
No, I felt like
that's another big bag.
Constantly felt like I needed a wee. And I was playing on the pitch, and a stupid story. This shouldn't even talk about this. And I was going, Beats, I need to go off. And he was going, no, we're playing great. And he gave me a big hug. Come on, we're going to win this game. And for like 35 minutes, he was going, we're having a great time, aren't we? And I was going, no, I'm in pain. Oh, get me on board. He kept going, we're going to win, don't worry. And I was like, oh, yeah.
When you look back, though, it does not frustrate me. I think football, well, I know our club, we treat our own worse than we treat the others. And it does not frustrate me and annoy me. Look after your own, lads. Scousers, are you close to Liverpool? Look after your own, and that doesn't. It just, I'm not making it about foreigners or other, but I'm just saying, look, understand and value what you have, and understand he gets the football club, he knows the city, he knows the fans, he knows the people. That's a strength. It's not a weakness.
I think as fans, we all love one of our own.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
But we take it for granted as well.
Yeah.
When it comes to that. And I think as an Everton fan, I don't think there's anything better than seeing the likes of a Harrison Armstrong coming through.
It's brilliant.
It's a first of all, it's a massive feather in the cap for the club itself, because the academy is not being where it has been over recent years. It's had a real tough time, whether that's cutbacks because of the previous regimes, whether that's affected in terms of our recruitment, in terms of people on the ground looking at players, whether it's had to be reined in. Hopefully now, with the new owners, they've already identified the academy as one of the areas that they want to invest in, which I think is fantastic, because you can't underestimate how important the academy is, and it goes hand in hand with the football club. We've had an amazing history of bringing through some brilliant players who've contributed huge amounts to the football club, and I think the new ownership understand that, because I don't think anyone wants to be spending 150 million, 200 million every year. It's not sustainable. No. And I think that's why the academy has to try and help offset that burden of having to spend big money. And I think Addison Armstrong is a real plus, and we have to try and build on that.
Well, he's the only one in a long time, and we need more. We definitely more. We aren't. Make no mistake, but these are a brilliant outfit that took over the football club, but they're also amazing businessmen, and amazing businessmen don't waste money. They don't blow money for the sake of blowing it.
That's why the local lads and the fans don't get paid, because businessmen, and that's not just football, this is everything. You get something for as cheap as you can. You don't overpay. No one wants to overpay for anything in life. And if I know you want to stay at the football club, and I could probably get you to stay for this, but he lives over in Spain, and so probably gonna have to pay him a bit more. Unfortunately, I get it. That's kind of how it works.
I get it, but weigh it up with how important is he to the team, and whether. But and you'll also bring a little bit more, because you know what it feels like to be the fans. You know what they're gonna feel like on Derby Day. You're not some fella turning up, it's just another game, because it means something to us as fans when a Scouser walks on that pitch and he's like, "I'm up for this, and I'm gonna let all these in the dressing room know I'm up for it as well." Not like another game, lads. I mean, the Liverpool are the big club. No, we turn up here and it means just as much to us as it does to them.
There's something good about being in a dressing room where everybody knows the significance of the club you're playing for. There is something. There is something really good about that.
Because you have played the big timers,
and I'm not saying that. A lot of foreigners get it as well. So it's not about local. It's not about foreign. It's just about having an understanding of where you are, the club you're playing for. And I've got to be honest, the best squads I've been in have had a huge majority of people pulling in the same direction like that. That 04-05 team.
So
was ridiculous.
You've gone through the ranks and Hibbo around that time as well.
Hibbo, Bainesy, that team with using, there's how many local lads there? Hibbo, Bainesy, yourself.
You look at Jags. Jags was in the academy, and then left. Myself was in the academy and left. You know, so it's there.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes
we keep getting them and then let them go.
You have shown them, haven't you, that, and it's a great indicator to the young kids out there who will listen to this and watch this. It's not over because they say it's over.
No, definitely.
It's over when you say it's over.
I've got a huge problem with the way academies in general work, not Everton at the minute. I mean, a kid could come in at 6 and be told, you know, they come in for 6-week trials across clubs at the moment. So a kid goes, within one season, he could have had trials at 5 different clubs. He's 6 years of age. 6 weeks is like a huge chunk of his life at that point. Yeah. And so by the time he's 7, he's been told by 5 different clubs that they don't want him to come back. The effect that has, think about when you're 10, 11, 12, and even if you get to 16, you've spent your whole time in the academy at the moment because of the demands of an academy to do 4 or 5 training sessions a week, the games at the weekend, what the parents do. You don't end up having a social life. You don't get to know the kids in your local area. You just get to know the academy kids. And then if you step away from that, it doesn't work out.
You're lost.
You've got no friends. You've got no social life. You've more rejection. It's something I think that needs to be looked at.
I think the Premier League and especially Premier League clubs, I think they need to do more for when players get released, especially at 16 100%. Or 18. I think there should be an obligation that they help them for a certain amount of time to try and create whatever pathway they want to go along. Because I think we could have a player in the system for basically from year 6 to 16. So we take 10 years of his life, and he walks away, and we just discard him, and it's nothing.
And the time he's give you,
That's not just one. That is across the board. I do think there is work to try and do something like that. I
think the Premier League should be put in a position, because let's all be honest, they're making more than enough money, the Premier League. Yeah. So why can't they go, right, okay, this kid, let's just say for instance, say this kid's put in the 10,000 hours. We're going to give him 5,000 hours of opportunity and work to help him after football, because he didn't make it and it wasn't right. So he gave us 10,000 hours to try and make it, and it was to benefit him as well, make no mistake. But we're now going to give him 5,000 hours worth of, like I said, opportunity, work, education, something else that doesn't necessarily have to be. It could be in football, it could be in a college, it could be, but they're all making enough. Put it back into grassroots, because grassroots is now suffering more than ever. Less and less kids. Just, when was that? Have you gone out recently and go past the park? I went past the park on an AstroTurf in the recent half term that we've just been on. I couldn't, but no one was playing football. Kids were like the kids just weren't out. You know, when you drive past it when I was every AstroTurf there were kids on it. You'd see an 11-a-side game going on, and then you'd see kids playing in between the pitches, having a game of knockouts between themselves.
There was times years ago that there was one pitch and there'd be 2 games going on across each other at the same time. Have you ever played in one of those? Those were incredible. And now 4 teams playing all different directions.
Now they're just kids aren't in parks.
No, they're not.
And I just think, and academies now have swallowed up anyone who can tie the football laces, because everyone's just had an academy, and you're just like, I just think it's so difficult for the kids now to have some kind of social life. I think, I mean, I talk about one of mine. He's 13. He played out for the first time last week in his whole life. He played out. His mother had
because of his mother, though? Yeah, I was going to say.
His mother had me. So I dropped him off, and believe it or not, he was with his Everton teammates, and he's out there. And I've dropped him off, and she went, "Don't leave there. Just pretend that you've drove off and left him." And just watched him. And I went, "Listen, love." I said, "Don't start me off. He's 13. He's bigger than you. He's 5'11". I'm just leaving him.
Our lads went on holiday couple of years back for the first time, and him and Rachel
were
phoning us saying, "We're gonna have to get flights out there. We're gonna have to go. We're gonna have to go in there. We're gonna have to go in the same hotel just down the road. We're gonna have to watch them." They're like 19 years of age. Just leave them. They're all holiday. I'm like, no, we've got to go. Tony, he was like nearly getting me in a headlock, telling me I had to go. I had to go to Benidorm. I was getting really upset.
That's where it changed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's like when we were that age, we were just allowed to go onto the streets.
I was an iron apple at 17 for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
But suddenly, fast forward 20 years.
It's like we're going backwards.
But that's a parent though as well.
Yeah.
That's being a parent.
It's knowing the dangers.
Yeah,
like I'm so aware
being
of the
there
dangers.
and exactly. You've witnessed them and seen them. So you're trying to
as for kids playing out,
stop them from
Stubbsy, it's just
pitfalls.
it's mad. These kids in the academy, 5 days a week.
Yeah, I know.
It's a lot.
Demand on parents as well.
Yeah,
It just takes over your life. But as I said, 5 days a week in football, I genuinely believe we are the richest, the most powerful, and the best league in the world. Take care of the kids you're creating.
Yeah. Same subject, slight change. Your lad was in the academy for many years. Sam Stubbs, who is now a professional footballer himself. How's that as a parent?
Oh, listen, it's to see or any of your child, whoever it is, go on and
your daughter's doing brilliant work in the medical department.
Yeah, so I'm just as proud as her as what I am as Sam. You know, even though obviously he's tried to follow in the same footsteps and even though he's not played at the same level as what I've played at, for me he's achieved something just as good. Mm-hmm. You know, to be a professional footballer is not easy. You know, to try and follow in the footsteps of an Alfart who managed to do all right for himself.
You know,
go there and out.
But you know, obviously, but then you flip side of it with my daughter. You know, she's working in the Bolton Centre, which is an incredible unit in Liverpool. She's in the neuro and she's doing really well. So I'm lucky more so, irrespective of what they do, is that I've got 2 brilliant children who've managed to stay on the right path and not being led the wrong way. You know, when it's easy, I think in this day and age now, there's a big shift.
Surely
if you go
that's
left
your
and you go
greatest
right.
achievement.
100%. When you look at society now and the drugs and things like that, it's scary. It's
your
scary.
man, they've done a great job.
No,
so the job you've done,
that's pleased me more than anything. You know, I'm more than proud of them. You know, first and foremost, and obviously, you know, my daughter's just give me the best thing that you could ever.
You're a granddad.
I'm a
He's a
granddad.
granddad.
Oh, wow.
Didn't really want to say that, but you said it.
I've been called him granddad for 20 years.
I've been playing like a granddad. So it's been great. I've been very fortunate. You know, I had brilliant parents who did everything for me, and you take it for granted. You know, and it's not until everything's finished that you look back and you go, wow, how good were they? You know, and you know, they've got their life now, and we're there to try and help them achieve and go for whatever they want to be. And you know, we're just supportive, you know, of them. Very proud of them. Probably don't tell them enough how proud I am of them.
Well, send them the podcast.
Yeah, but I'm sure they'll see on this. I'm sure they will. So, you know, Heather, Sam, I'm very proud of you. You make me proud every day.
Well, that feels like a good note to sort of end our chat on. What we want to do with guests, and you're the first ever one, is play a new game. So we've got this OTB deck of cards for outside the box.
Whoa, it's a bit red.
I know, it is a bit red. To be fair, we need to get like some new ones. Just
set that card case on fire.
Is that the only one they had in the shop?
It was. I actually whizzed past Sainsbury's on the way here.
all the mod cons in a minute,
so,
Ozzy,
you can have the cards.
Okay.
So basically,
do we need to shuffle them?
I tried my best in the car, but you might want to give them a second shuffle. I can't shuffle for shit.
No problem.
So every...
You come up with this game, haven't you?
No, I actually did.
Have you?
But Ozzy did ask for a game.
Yeah.
I just said let's have a bit of fun.
So every number in that deck has got a random football question associated to it. So whatever number you pull, I'll read you the question.
Okay.
Hey, that's good shuffle.
Right,
Yeah, it was nice.
Right, so what am I doing this and he's picking? Or?
Yeah, he's picking a card, and then there's a random question associated
the next
to
casino film. What are you doing now?
I like that question. That's why I wanted you to get that.
8 of hearts.
8 of hearts.
You've done that for every single.
I have.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's a bit of a deep one. The toughest period in your career?
Oh, bloody hell. It would have been cancer. So it would have been, I did, after the Scottish Cup final against Rangers, just lost 1-0, get called in for a routine drug test. I'm one of the names, and then think nothing of it. I pass the urine, go away, get back on the bus, back with the players, and then we're off for the summer then. And I get a phone call about 3 weeks later from the doctor, Jack Mulhern, and he said, Alan, he said, how are you? He said, yeah, hi Jack. He said, just ringing you up about your results on your drug test, expecting to say everything's fine, all clear. He said, it's come back positive. And I'm like, Jack, I said, it's impossible. I said, I don't do drugs, don't take drugs. He said, I know that, Alan. He said, how are you feeling? And I've suddenly alarm bells started to ring. I said, what do you mean? He said, how are you feeling in general yourself? I said, I feel great. And I did. I felt really good. He went, anything untoward, anything like that? And then suddenly straight away I went, well, to be honest, I said, I've been having sometimes this odd pain in one of my testicles, but it's come and gone. You know, I could have a pain and then I wouldn't feel nothing for a few months. He went, okay. I said, why do you ask? He said, well, your drug test, with it being positive, said you're producing a hormone that's normally only found in pregnant women. But when it's found in men, it's linked to cancer. So then straight away I thought, shit. I went, well, okay, so what's the plan then? He said, right, we need to bring you up and do some tests. He said, ultrasound, and we'll take it from there. He said, I'm sure it's nothing. And he just tried to, calm it and tried to, allay my fears type of thing. And I went, okay. I said, when do you want us to come up? And he went, he said, well, can we get you up tomorrow? So I said, yeah. So anyway, Celtic were amazing. Really, really amazing. They sent a car down for us, picked up me and Mandy, drove us back up, and then I went into the hospital, had an ultrasound, and you could see it was night and day, clear as anything. One testicle was white, and the other one was white, and then at the bottom of it, in like a little moon shape, was black. He went, that's the cancer. He said, we need to do a biopsy and make sure that it hasn't spread. So anyway, they did the biopsy, took some swabs from my lymph nodes all around. And then he said, in the meantime, said, we're going to remove the testicle. He says, and then take it from there. So I said, okay. And then they were like, and I have no problem with this. And they said, well, do you want us to put like a false one in? I started laughing. I says, no, you know what? I said, I'm not vain. I said, I'm quite happy. He said, as long as I don't lean to one side as a result of it. I said, I'm all right. I said, sorry. No, and he was laughing about it. And so anyway, I had the results come back from the biopsy, and it was all clear. So he said, listen, I'm happy for you to just carry on playing. So literally I had a hernia operation, and then he moved it up through there and took it out. I was back playing within 5 weeks, and then thought nothing of it. Kept going for regular scans then every 3 months and checks. And about 16 months later, I went for the scan, not starting to get over the fear of, oh shit, I've got a scan today. Hope everything's okay type of thing, in that mindset. And I was getting over that now, thinking, oh, good, all clear, I'll be fine. And I had the scan, and then I got a phone call at night from the guy that was reading the scans, and the radiologist, and he said, I said, Alan, listen, he said, I'm really sorry, he said, but he said, something showed up on the scan. He said, we need to get it checked. He said, I said, well, what is it? He said, it looks like you've got a tumour the size of a pea at the base of your spine. He said, and I want to be really honest with you. He said, it's not a great place to have it. So he said, I'm going to be speaking to a couple of specialists tomorrow. He said, and then we'll take it from there. So anyway, he spoke to them, and then they come up with a plan. They brought me back up. They said, listen, sat me down with Mandy. Like, Mandy was like distraught, and I'm there. And to be fair, I can compose myself quite well to things like that. So like, I'm sitting there with the doctor, and he said, right, he said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give you 4 courses of chemotherapy. He says, after that, he said, we'll scan you as we're giving you the courses of chemotherapy, and then we'll make decisions as we go along. He says, ultimately, it's either going to obliterate it. He said, it'll reduce it in size, or it'll do nothing. He said, so obviously we're hoping it's going to obliterate it or reduce it in size. He said, if it does reduce in size, we'll go in straight away and then stop and do the operate. So anyway, I had my first course of chemotherapy, and fine, no problem. And I actually did. I felt fine, no problems whatsoever. They told me all the implications of the chemotherapy, what it could do, stuff like that, and I had none of them. He said, probably because you're so fit. He says, you're just flying through it. He said, obviously, as you can imagine, we don't have anyone really as fit as a professional footballer doing this. So I had that, and then literally finished the first course, went back, and Celtic Rangers were on, and I went down to the local health club with Tommy Johnson, and the game had kicked off, and literally within about 5 minutes, I was shivering, freezing cold. I said, Tommy, is it cold in here? And he went, no, it's absolutely roasting. So I said, you need to take me home, I feel like shit. So when we've gone home, and Mandy's realised straight away, rang the hospital, and I must have caught the tiniest of bug, but because my immune system now was starting to get low, it looked like it was like full-blown flu. So they rushed me back into hospital, put me on a drip. I was in for a couple of days just while he flushed it out of me, and I was back out. So then went in for the second one about 3 weeks later, and then he said, listen, we're not going to be as aggressive over this one. We'll give you it over 3 or 4 days. Whereas the first one was over 2 days. Done it. There was a lad in there for the first time, Celtic fan, kept going past the window all the time, and he was struggling. So I know he'd come in, and the nurse gone to me, Alan, do you mind having a chat with him? He's really struggling. He said he could probably do with a chat. He said, I'm really sorry. I said, yeah, no problem at all. So we came in, sat down, chatting away to him. I said, how are you? He said, not good. He said, can't get my head around it. He said, I just think I'm going to die. So I said, yeah, here's this book. I said, I've read the Lance Armstrong book. I said, really good, might help you. Little did I know that it was only about a couple of years later that I found out that Lance Armstrong was a fucking liar as well. So I thought that was a waste of time. So anyway, I'd gone in, and I was due to go back, come in the next time. And as I was in, I said to the nurse, I said, where's Michael that was in here last time? She said, I'm really sorry, he passed away last night. And it was like then where it dawned on me, I thought, shit, this is serious, because I don't know what it was, whether it was because I was naive. I just, as a professional footballer, you'd always think everything's rosy, bulletproof. And that was where I think I suddenly became a bit vulnerable, because I didn't know what to expect. So then I had the second course, and then I had a scan, so the specialist said, Alan, listen, really happy. He said, it's reduced in size. We're going to go in and operate. So anyway, so they got me ready. They literally cut me open from my breastbone all the way down to below my belly button, pulled to the side, removed all my organs to get to the back, because it was at the very back of my spine. I was operating theatre.
It was a lot smaller scar. I've seen it in the last 5 years. It was a lot smaller scar.
The scar stretched a bit as well.
Leave him alone, fuck face. He can't help himself, you know. The most serious conversations, fuck face.
Get calm. Sorry.
So anyway,
some things never change.
I was in the operating theatre. Beforehand, this gets even worse. So I'm in the theatre ready to go in. So the little room before you actually go into the theatre, getting prepped. And then the nurse or the doctor's trying to give me an epidural in my spine to obviously help with the pain relief. So I'm bent over this table to try and stretch my spine out. And the doctor's saying, Alan, I can't get it in. He said, your muscles are too tight. He said, in terms of this, he said, I'm really struggling to get it in. He said, and I'm looking at conscious of the time, we need to get you into the theatre. So anyway, so he's gone. So from getting it in lower, he's ended up getting it in higher. So from there upwards, I had pain relief, but it wasn't where the operation was. It was there down. So I had no pain relief when they'd open me.
Because you were too tight?
Because it was too tight. Couldn't get it in. Apologetic and everything.
Stop it.
Stop, Ossie.
He's got one. He's got one. He's on the tip of his tongue. He's got a smart ass comment. He can't help himself. Just shut up for once.
I actually held it back.
Mr. Tightness is talking about tight.
It's always been a tight bastard, Stubbsy.
I held it back. I'm sorry.
So anyway, got it in. I was in the theatre, 9 hours in there, come out in the emergency waiting room. And I remember just coming round, and I had, one of them silver foils over you in terms of the heat to try and help with not get cold. And the pain was the worst pain I could ever explain to someone. It was just horrendous. So they were trying to, so like the nurse obviously knew what had happened, and they were trying to put morphine, get me all set up for the morphine drip to go in. They were giving me tablets, and nothing was working. And I'm on the morphine. You press the button, and it gives you a little dose. And I'm pressing it every bloody 5 seconds, thinking, but it only gives you it every 15 minutes, just because I wanted it in that quick. So they give me tablets anyway. After about a couple of hours, it all starts to kick in, and my body shuts down. I go numb, because they'd give me that much to try and help. My body had just shut down, so I couldn't feel a thing. So I was a corpse on the table, and the only thing that could move was my eyes, side to side. So literally nothing. I shit myself. I thought I was going to be paralysed. I thought I was paralysed for life. I could literally mumble.
Okay.
And so the nurses come in, and she's trying to reassure me, it's fine, Alan, this is quite normal, believe it or not. It will come back. But obviously someone telling you it will come back to actually think, knowing it is two completely different things. And it wasn't until the following day or the following morning I woke up and I had pins and needles in one of my toes, and it all suddenly started to come back, and it was the best feeling. Sorry, love. Sorry, Mandy. That I've ever had in my life. It was the best feeling ever. And I was literally there in the hospital for, I think, 4 days. The doctors thought I was going to be in for 3 months. I just wanted to get out. I couldn't. I was still like stable. As long as I could touch my toes, they were happy for me to go out. And I was just desperate to do it. Done it. And then they said, listen, you can go. We're happy to pass you over to the physio now, and just take it from there.
You kicked it.
And I was back playing probably 3 months later.
Yeah.
Brilliant, mate.
Sorry. Let's hope the next card.
I was going to say, Jesus Christ, we can't finish on it.
We'll get another one.
No, positive.
Come on.
Do us a favour, pick a 2-minute story.
No, it's important though for men out there.
No, it's it.
Check your bollocks.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I was just thinking,
check your
might have
bollocks.
just suddenly started it.
Yeah, you're talking of bollocks.
Check your bollocks. I mean, Leon's trying to find this still to this day.
I'm happy for you to pick a card for me, Leon.
Okay, here we go.
Queen of Diamonds.
Queen of Diamonds. Who was always late? So the teams you played for, who was the latecomer?
Well, probably not as a player, but when I was a coach at Everton, the one that was always late there was two. Andy van der Meijden and Drenthe.
What were they like? Were they party boys?
Royston, Drenthe.
It's funny.
How long have we got?
Yeah.
He was funny, yeah.
Just
Unbelievable.
lived in their own world, didn't they? Lived their own lives, lived in their own places.
We spoke about him, didn't we, last week, about when Bellows drilled his crocodile shoes into the bench. So I come in, he wasn't happy that day, mate. I was getting my ice bath and he was furious.
Pair of them were cases. Andy Van was the first.
I didn't know him.
Sort of the first one that came across, winger, Dutch, lived in his own sort of desires.
Like the drink,
like the night out. Liked
I've
to
heard
play
the stories
football,
on
but
the
not
town.
really.
Shandy Andy.
Yeah, but didn't really like.
I've heard the stories on the town, but I never ever met him. So
yeah, you know what? He was actually
Nice
not a decent player as well.
Yeah,
talented,
Yeah.
but
it's a shame that, isn't it?
Talented.
Do you know what? I've got a question for you. Who was the most? Because I've always got the same answer in boxing. Who's the most talented? But who's the most talented player you played with or coached or was around and never made it?
Oh, I never made it.
I've got one.
And you go, you look at him and you go, I've been around fights, and you go, and he was just well better than me, and it's just lifestyle. But who's the one everyone must have one?
Mine was not in professional football. Mine was before growing up as a young lad.
Really?
Yeah, mine was. So I was along the ages of Steve McManaman and playing against them when they were all younger. In terms of, and our team was a decent team. And we were probably one of the better teams throughout the Liverpool area. And there was a lad called Danny Vaughan, and he was at Liverpool, and he was a brilliant player, real good midfield player who could play passes, skillful, and he didn't make it. for lots of different reasons.
Okay.
You know, he was the best player that I played with growing up.
Wow.
And he was the one that everybody would have said in Liverpool watching that time, he's nailed on to make it, and he never
was.
It's a tough question, actually, isn't it?
It is.
I thought my brother was good. He should have done better than he did. Just sort of didn't quite.
He was better than you, wasn't he?
That's what everyone says.
Yeah.
He just.
Carl better than you.
He was a good player. He was a winger. He had more speed. He'd have beat me and you in a race.
No chance.
He'd have beat me and you in a race.
That's why I never made it. Speed's not everything, you know.
And then there was a guy when we played for England schoolboys. It's from Skem called Ian Armstrong. He was at Liverpool at the time, expected to be. So he shared a room with Joe Cole at Lilleshall. He was at Lilleshall.
He's at Lilleshall as well.
Lilleshall, yeah.
Because everyone who went to Lilleshall usually
yeah,
is.
So that's what I mean. You just felt that he was on the path. He was at Liverpool, Joe Cole's best mate. And circumstances happened that he lost his way and didn't make it. It was a surprise. Yeah, his dad died at a wrong it's age. Never a right time for that kind of thing.
At a young age.
Just lost his... I don't know whether you call it. You'd have to ask him, but he was a surprise. I thought he was gonna.
He was nailed on.
I thought he was gonna make it. I really did. I thought we were gonna be competing against each other, two lads from Skem, for our whole lives, and he didn't quite get over the line, which was a shame.
Who shocked you? Who went further? Who went further than you expected?
You.
Piss off. Fucking told you in the first walk in that changing, you little midget. You watch what I do, lad. It just took me time, that's all. For years I've been getting this off this little shit. Who shocked you? Who you go? I'd never seen that coming. Do you know amongst players now? There was a group. So because I've been going to Finch Farm that many years, there's one player who sticks with me, and he's had a career in the Premier League. Well, I don't know. Adam Forshaw.
Yeah.
Because the group he was around and the players he was around, I knew he was a good player when he played. Obviously, I had a football club, but when you look at the people around him and you go, he's outseeing them all.
I tell you one who probably shocked me in terms of the level that he played at, and I probably had him, and I had Adam in that group because Adam was with the 21s and at that time. Probably Shane Duffy. Done better than what Shane was in terms of he was. And I hope I know Shane dead well, and he's a great lad, but he was daft as a brush. He was honestly, but like as brave as a lion. Throw his body on the line with anything. He was a proper. He was a throwback.
Yeah.
Technically, wasn't great, and I say that in the best possible way.
But did he make?
But he made the most of what he had.
Yeah.
He's had a
he's had a brilliant career.
He did really well, but I was there the day his career ended at Everton. We were on a pre-season, and Roberto.
Is that another one you're seeing off?
Yeah, another one. Roberto had just joined us. And it was a tough time. We'd had this trip that David Moyes had set up. Roberto wasn't into taking us to a few different places. So we were in like San Francisco, Miami and somewhere else. And we just had the game and we all snuck to this pub. Roberto said, right, we're training at 8 o'clock in the morning next week. Make sure you're on the bus. And we were all like, brilliant. We're all sneaking out to this pub we'd found down the road. And obviously Shane was there with us, had far too many. Shane, he was still just a young lad.
For you to say far too many.
He was still just a young lad as well. And we stumbled out of there late on and we were like, Shane, what are you doing? We're going to walk back to the hotel. And he went, no, I'm getting a taxi. He went, Shane, let's just get a thingy back to the hotel. He said, no. So he flagged this taxi down. We set off walking. He flagged the taxi down, got in a taxi and said, take him to this hotel. The driver drove 50 yards and popped him outside the hotel where we were waiting for him, stood with our arms folded thinking he was going to get it. So with that drunk, just about gets on the bus on the way to training the next day. And those that had played, one of them was Shane, were able to just do runs up and down the side of the pitch. I had to do 1v1s in the middle of the pitch. It wasn't great. Darren Gibson dropped out 2 minutes into the bloody session. Who takes his place in my 1v1 market? Roberto Martinez. So me and Roberto are doing 1v1s. I'm stinking of ale. So that didn't go well. But Shane Duffy was on the pitch, at the side. So we were doing it. The width of the penalty area, from the edge of the penalty area up to the halfway line, that was our box. And Shane and the other centre-halves were running down the side of the penalty area, just from the halfway line to the touchline. And they were just doing it at half pace. Shane kept falling on the pitch. He was just trying to literally run in a straight line from the goal line to the halfway line, and he was leaning forward, and he just kept veering to the right, and he just kept ending up on our pitch, and I was telling him to get off the pitch, and he just kept leaning onto the pitch, and that was basically the end of his career. At Everton, he had a great career.
It's funny.
Was it Brighton?
Yeah,
had a brilliant career.
That. You remember when we were away? I don't know if you remember this.
Which time?
When we were away, we were in Marbella.
Which
and we
time?
were out, right? And we were on the beach, and it was me and Davey Weir. And you remember?
I wasn't there.
Who told me and Davey Weir that he was gonna take our places?
Oh, Sean O'Hanlon. I was there. That was brilliant. That
we'd gone away.
Wow, that was one of our first trips.
It was,
we
were away. One of the young lads.
So we
soldiers. Oh yeah. So like we were there, weren't we? We were on the ale all day. We were away. We'd finished football.
We'd played a reserve team game. So you went out there on Friday. Or whatever day. We played a reserve team game and joined them the next day. So we're drinking all day. Gets there. I think you might have even played. Oh, you're on the beach all day.
Yeah. No, we'd play golf.
You'd play golf, and we'd been on the beach all day as young lads because we got there late. And there was George Pilkington and Sean O'Hanlon and others. Chaddy was there and me. Yeah. And you came back and you came around and sat next to us all. And you went, right, lads, we'll have a game for you. Tell us how you want to be, what kind of player you want to be when you all get to the senior level. And George Pilkington said, like, I'd love to play like you, Alan, the way you take the ball and you do this. And he said to someone else, what would you want to do? And I'd love to copy you, Steve Watson. It was you though. He said it to, wasn't it? And John Pilkington got up and went, I'd love to have. Alan. He actually said, Alan, I'd love to have played the ball like you, the way you hold the ball. David Weir, I'd love to defend like you. Kev Kilban, I'd love your pace. Steve Watson, don't want anything from you. Nothing. Don't need your shite. Your shite. That was you.
No, and then he did say, and then he did say at the end of it, he said, and I'm going to take your 2 places as well. I'm going to take one of your places. To me and Davey.
Did you say anything to him?
No, it was 17
years of age.
It was like one of them, and like we were laughing our heads off at it. Like the following day, he would have been in the store saying it.
He was. He didn't want to come out.
Didn't say that. Obviously, I got loads of respect for you and all that. But it was it was literally what it was. But it was like so funny because we were all drinking, and as when you're there, it gets funnier and funnier. But for a young lad to stand up takes a bit of balls as well.
It does.
And you respect that.
Himself.
You respect that.
Yeah.
I thought it was
just
great.
ways of doing it.
Yeah.
Come on, son.
That was it.
Yeah, it was good. We didn't even get to touch on our jailhouse get together, did we?
No.
Our weights gang that we had for about 4 or 5 years.
We had the cracking time, didn't we?
With the heavyweight,
the
light heavyweight, cruiserweight champion of the world, and the Bulgarian weightlifter that he saw is Stubbsy, the Bulgarian weightlifter, we called him.
Stubbsy can just squat absolutely anything, lift anything. He just carries on shocking us all every single time. And then Ossie likes to do pull-ups for fun.
Not anymore, I've told you. My weight distortion is a bit different now with regards to strength. Strength v weight is a little bit different than it used to be, Tony. We don't like to talk about that anymore.
It's okay. It will come back at some point. Don't worry. You will get it back.
By the way, as well, before we finish, best trainer from a non-football point of view is this guy.
Well, I don't know about that.
It was what he put himself through in terms of the lead up to some of the fights where we were in the gym.
He said the same the other week.
It was just ridiculous.
He should see me.
I know when to stop. I could run and know when to stop. Ossie can run and know when to stop.
Ossie stopped before he knew.
But to actually run and go through that end line and keep going and to a limit was just incredible to watch.
Great to be close up, wasn't it?
Yeah, in terms of just that self-minded focus to push yourself beyond where probably no one goes was just incredible to watch.
It's just called being possessed and obsessed.
Well, it was a possessed But it was like I'd not seen any of that in terms of the sport that we'd been in, because normally we'd get stopped. But like he was pushing himself through the line that I'd never seen before, and honest to God, it was impressive to see.
It must have been great for you as players to see that, and did that impact the way you trained?
We made me realize what I wasn't doing.
Yeah. We'd finished playing then. You know, so we were like it was just a gym where it was like myself, Ossie.
It helped us move on.
It did.
It was a brilliant thing for us to do as we entered retirement, to get us through first steps and stages and stuff. To be training next to a guy who's trying to win titles, belts across one of the most ridiculous sports in the world. Just for our camaraderie and for us to actually, because you're getting to know me. If you put me in a gym, just us four with nothing really to do. There'll come a point where I'll ruin it because I'm messing around too much and I'm not doing it properly, and there's no real sort of goal. But because he had the goal,
and they're both reining him in.
Because he had the goal, because he had the goal, it kind of kept us focused, and it kept me focused, and it was great for us.
Aussie's was a token gesture. Oh, all right, I'll do 10 sit-ups then.
I ate more biscuits afterwards than I did reps, I reckon. Yeah,
it's good because I wasn't. All my whole career, I've trained, and I'm on my own. I'm not part of a team.
Yeah.
So when I first went to Finch Farm, Stubbsy was managing with Taft. That's how I first met Stubbsy. And you get to know everyone in and around the building, but going in and seeing them and being in the dressing room and then seeing lads, it was brilliant. It was away from boxing. It was really good for me. And then when we started doing it from Billow's house and doing it in the gym, it was just brilliant, because you're with the lads and you're together to the same faces each day, and everyone's grafting, everyone's doing a bit of work. It just works so well. I was very fortunate to have these around me at the time. It was brilliant. And then, as I said, we've had our nights, we've had our trips away. It's the jailhouse weights group.
Sounds like you need to get the gym gang back together.
They're for another podcast, those though.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
but I've had a great time, and it's been brilliant, because as you can imagine, just being a normal Everton fan, being around these, it's like it's surreal at times. And then you have to tell yourself and go, you know what, they're the exact same as me. They're just really good at kicking the ball. I'm really good at punching people in the face. It took years for that to sink in. I used to go, when I'd first met them, I'd look at them and think, oh, wow, they're like, they do the dream that I'd always dreamed of doing. But you soon realise, I say, we're just all normal fellas round the bend, and we figured it out.
Yeah, it's great to see the impact you've had on each other as friends. Stubbsy, I think we could talk to you all day. You'll definitely have to come back on. We didn't even touch on your time at Celtic properly. But yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on. The first ever guest outside the box.
Cheers.